Hello, hello. Welcome to my channel. My name is Emmie from Emmie Evolving. If this is your first time joining me, thank you for finding me. If this is not your first time, thank you for coming back. So I'm doing a reading for Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Also for you cross watchers. Also for those of you who find yourself on my video without a single Pisces droplet in your chart and you're not dealing with a Pisces. Hey, if this message resonates, anything in this reading resonates, claim it as yours. Claim it as yours. All right. Let's see. Apparently there's so much more to this. I don't know what this is. There's so much more to this than you realize. Okay. There is a lot going on probably in your life, probably in your connections with all of the purging that's been going on for like quite a few weeks now. I think Pisceans are being prepared to really see the truth of what it is they have been, I guess, actively avoiding. I'm like, sorry. Yeah, no, I think it's time for us to really, really understand on whatever level our higher self wants us to know, understand what this is. The connectivity, the lack thereof, the frustration, whatever like negative experiences you're having. I mean, most of the time, the negative experiences we're having, the things we consider. Sorry, guys. I have all this stuff. Okay, the things that we consider negative aren't even negative experiences. It's just, it challenges us to grow the way we see ourselves, the way we see our world. So now we're being challenged to take it a step further. Take it a step further, I'm told. There's more to this than what you realize. There's way more. Oh, God. Now I understand. Okay. Now I understand. Okay. Hold on. Okay. Ooh. Okay. These are really intense messages. Really super intense. Like intense feelings that it gives me. And I don't know if it's intense just for me or the message itself is intense for everybody. A lot of intensity though. Sometimes I wonder when we experience increasing amounts of confusion and doubt, is that because we're being prepared, primed through our own frustrations to break through this like ceiling, the glass ceiling. I think it's going to be different for all of us, but like the details of it, the way we experience it. But I think the grand scheme of like the glass ceiling is being shattered. I think that's going to be applicable for pretty much everybody that resonates with this. Whatever limits you thought you have, whatever limits you've been like participating in, actively believing in, those are the limits that exist for you. The only limits that exist are the ones you believe in. You know, I've said that so many times in the past, and it's held true this entire time. Sometimes my thoughts, my perceptions about certain types of subject matter, especially when it comes to self-realization, it shifts. It ripens along with my understanding of it. The way I see it tends to shift. But the concept of the only limits that exist are the ones you believe in has held true. It's definitely held true this entire time. And sometimes that belief is not a conscious belief. Sometimes you're not cognitive that you believe in that limitation. Okay, sometimes you're totally unaware that you're not believing in yourself the way you need to, the way you should. So let me just, all right. Okay. You're being asked to analyze what you feel. What do you feel? Are you comparing the life you have, comparing it to the life you wish you had, the life you feel you should have had? had you listened to your intuition and really allowed yourself the freedom to choose things based on your need versus other people's preferences. These are things we really have to begin seriously considering. All these decisions that you've made for yourself during the course of your life, have they really been decisions that you've made for yourself, or are these decisions you made in accordance with what you thought other people needed, other people wanted, other people expected? And that's something only you can answer. Have you been living for yourself, or are you living for other people? It's one thing to live for yourself and have the decisions you make for yourself be something beneficial for everyone around you. And it's another thing to convince yourself that you are somehow obligated to make decisions that benefit everyone except for you. Because we're so quick, we are so quick to kind of sacrifice ourselves and our needs for other people. We are so quick to do that. It's a very easy thing to forget that you have needs too. We're going through a rebirth. This process, like, what do you feel? Can you feel yourself being reborn? Can you? Can you feel yourself being reborn? Or does it just seem like super painful? It's almost like not being able to see clearly, because instead of looking at what she's holding, what's in the palms of her hands, what's being tossed and considered, it's like she's not looking at what's in her hands, what her options are. She's instead looking at something else, the bigger picture. And we have to be careful about always just looking at the bigger picture, because sometimes you have to do fine detailed work, and you can't do that when you're zoomed out. Sometimes you have to zoom all the way in to really see all these different aspects, all these different fibers of your being. It's a very intense thing. It's definitely a very intense thing. Card number 16, embrace oneness with the universe. Just really allow yourself to hug yourself, to hold such a sacred space that there's stillness for you, regardless of what's going on around you, outside of you. Allow yourself to hold space, to be still. It's okay to have silence so deafening. That silence is so complete, you think you're deaf. I don't know how many of you are familiar with what it's like when it snows. Every time it snows, there is this silence. Once the storm is done, once the winds have died down, there is this like absolute silence. And it's such a profound peacefulness. The craziest part is, like, for most of my life, I mean, I just started being okay with snow. Being originally from California, like, you don't live in snow, you visit it. You play in it for a few hours and then you go back home, because snow, we die. That's what many Californians think, okay? And having lived in Colorado for a little bit previously, I became acclimated to snow. It's no longer a scary thing. And now I realize how much I missed out on, how much stillness and beauty I missed out on because of this fear of something I didn't even know. Why would I be so afraid of snow? Because I don't know how to handle myself in it. I don't know what's safe. I don't know what's dangerous. And being immersed in it, having no choice but to be in the snow, it kind of forced me to release my unnecessary, unreasonable fear of the very thing that creates a stillness for me that really helps me to hear my own thoughts. And because it's so easy to hear your own thoughts when you sit in silence after a snowstorm has finished. I'm talking about sitting outside, bundled up, feeling nice and bundled. And the only thing that's cold are the parts of your face that are exposed, and breathing in that cold air. There's just something about that where the heat of your insecurity is tempered by the cold environment that you're in. So this is embracing oneness with the universe. You are a part of that creation. That creation is a part of you. When you embrace the totality that you are both summer and winter. You are both spring and the fall. You grow both upwards and downwards. You have both a left and a right. Within you exists a masculine and a feminine energy. You are a totality. You are your own universe. You just are. You are. Each one of us is our own universe. And when we begin to try and orbit around something else, you then demote yourself. You just do. You then begin to behave more like, I don't know if galaxies swirl around I think they swirl around black holes. But I know planets revolve around their star, their sun. I know moons revolve around planets. I mean, how small do you want to make yourself? That's the real question. It's not how big do you want to be, like how much greatness you want to achieve. Really, the real question is, if we're going to be honest with ourselves, how small are you aiming to be? Because I find that Pisceans have a tendency to do this, where they have to shrink themselves. It's only after so much struggle, trials and tribulations that you begin to really get sick and tired of shrinking yourself just for other people's comfort. One thing that I learned, and this was one of the most profound lessons, I don't belong in a box. And if you need something placed in a box, put yourself in it. Because I'm not going to shrink for you. I've allowed myself to shrink enough, and you still weren't satisfied. So what's going on right now? The issue is not me being too big for my own shoes. The issue is that you're uncomfortable with your own growth, your own lack of progress, and there's nothing I can ever say or do that will make you comfortable witnessing my own rise. Has nothing to do with me. So when you try and cater to other people's insecurities, it's not going to do anything. Unless they choose to work on that insecurity on their own terms, at their own time, in their own way. Sometimes your presence simply enables the insecurity. Your coddling of it enables it. It further ripens it, deepens it, entrenches it into the person's life. Okay. Ace of Autumn, a windfall of money, advice, or assistance from others, a very successful project, a happy change in your career. Okay. So, yeah, it's a windfall of energy. That energy comes to you when you really allow yourself to expand your consciousness. When you tear down those limitations that have been imposed on you because someone else was uncomfortable with witnessing your growth, you now have the ability to expand. Remember, the only limitations that exist are the ones that you believe in. Whether you create that limitation with your own personal beliefs, or you create or you sustain that limitation by buying into what someone else is telling you about yourself and your abilities and your potentiality. Whatever you believe in is the only thing that actually exists, okay? Maybe it's time for some aloneness. So, one momento. I need to kind of do something to help me focus really quick. There. So, aloneness. Some of the most beautiful things happen when you're alone. Realizations. These aha moments that take you to a higher level of consciousness, higher levels of compassion and grace. And when you reach higher levels of this compassion and grace, you begin to understand how little compassion and grace you've shown yourself. And that's not okay. It's just not okay. You have to treat yourself with the same generously kind regard that you give to so many other people. Because if you don't, who will? If you can't do it for yourself, if you won't do it for yourself, it's very unrealistic and unreasonable to task someone else to do this for you. Because if you won't even allow yourself to receive, how can someone else give something to you? If you refuse to allow yourself to be happy, how can someone else make you happy? And we do this refusal to allow, refusal to receive, when we become so fixated on what hurt us, rather than allowing ourselves to see, okay, this hurt. Why did it hurt? What did it trigger within me? What types of thought processes should I be having? What is this teaching me right now? How is this empowering me? But if all we focus on is the fact that people have hurt us again, people have disappointed us again, the world is not a safe place again. My feelings make me vulnerable, and that creates weakness because now someone else can hurt me again. You can continue thinking and living that way, but I promise you, choosing that path is a very sad path. And even though there are plenty of people around you, when you feel that way about the world, you will feel alone in even a crowded room. You will feel so alone. And that's something that we have to recognize we each choose. So if you have the power to choose that for yourself, you have the power to choose something different as well. But the key here is to recognize this is a choice that you are consciously making. It's not going to magically just be placed in your lap. It just doesn't happen that way. It doesn't. And maybe we also have to realize that sometimes you put all this work into yourself, nothing's happening, nothing's changing, life still seems to suck. And maybe that's because you need to burn up all of that stagnant energy first through your frustration. And if you keep at it, if you keep sending energy towards change within yourself by focusing on change, you just wake up one day and you realize, holy shit, everything's changed. Whoa, when did this happen? See, the main lie here that we're told is that in order to manifest things, you just have to set the intent, or you just have to focus on it. You need both. That's like saying, in order to make some bread, you just need an oven. You just need some flour. You just need the ingredients and you can make bread. Really? How are you going to cook that bread? If you don't have an oven, how do you cook that bread? If you don't have the ingredients, what good is that oven going to do? You need both components. So when you have intent and then you have focus, you have a very high likelihood of manifesting the very thing that you're trying to manifest. You have to hold intent and sustain it. Sustain it by continuing to focus on change for yourself, change for your life. And it's only in doing that one day you just wake up and holy shit, things have changed. When did this happen? It happened while you were too busy working on yourself. All of that effort, all of that investment in time and energy, it pays off. It pays off. And you can't achieve this by doing it for someone else. That's a major, major misbelief that many Pisceans have. Actually, many empaths. Many empaths have this struggle where I can't grow myself, but if I grow you, then I'm growing. No, you're not. You're not. Well, Emmie, you said that by sharing with us and helping us to grow, you're growing too. Yeah, I'm growing too because I'm hearing myself say the things that I need to hear for myself. It's not necessarily because I'm helping you and now you're growing, so I grow too. No, These messages are for all of us, including myself. Just because I'm delivering the message doesn't mean I'm exempt from the message being applied to my life. I still need to put the time and effort, invest in myself in order to allow these components to come together and serve as the step ladder that takes me to the next level of dimensional consciousness. So, High Priestess of Water, it's time for you to step into this role. See, it's card number 4. 4 is a number of the self. Only you can choose to put your water crown back on your head. Only you can choose to allow yourself to become the High Priestess of Water. This is about mental alchemy. Mental alchemy involves the transmutation of one polarity into the other polarity. This is not about changing something into something it's not. You can't change a bar of lead into a rat. It still has to be on the same plane of existence. There's stories of the Sorcerer's Stone taking a bar of lead and turning it into gold. Notice how they're still metals. They're still on the same plane of existence. So you can take one thing on a plane of existence and shift its positional, its dimension, its placement on that plane. So love and hate are on the same plane of existence. They just carry different positioning on that plane of love. So if you look at relationships, how people fall out of love with each other, it's just a gradual sliding of that meter away from the polarity of elevated love, intensified love, all the way down until at some point it's not considered love anymore. It registers as either nothing, neutrality, or the polar, other polar end of it, which is dislike, disdain, all the way up to hate. But it slides on that scale. So where are you going to slide your scale to? You have to be still and listen to the spirits, in particular yours. You have to be still and listen to your higher self. Listen to the guidance that's coming in. Listen to these urges that are first filtered through your heart before they reach your consciousness. So the energy comes in and it kind of commingles with your heart energy. If you have distortions within your heart space, these messages that encourage self-love, self-empowerment, they become distorted too. It's just like if you're cooking and you use a dirty pot, you use a dirty pan, it will distort the flavors you're creating because of the residue that's still in the pan. So it's important for you to experience adaptability, elevated adaptability at that. You have to allow yourself to become flexibly strong in your flexibility without clinging to a specific outcome. You allow yourself to experience the totality of that experience. And this is what grows you tremendously. Where, yeah, it'd be nice if this outcome happened, but like there's a whole huge room. Like, what's going to happen here? What's really going to happen? What am I going to learn? What's my life going to show me about myself and my connections? But again, if you already have this expectation that it can only happen a specific way, like it has to be this outcome, that's how you disappoint yourself. When your expectation is not in alignment with the truth of the reality of the circumstance you're in, you create massive disappointment for yourself. And then we turn around, and because it's hard to take ownership of the ways in which we disappoint ourselves, we have to turn around and say, oh, so-and-so disappointed me. Did they disappoint you, or was it your expectation of them that disappointed you? Because they can really only be themselves. And if they have to be someone outside of themselves in order to please you, who's the good and who's the bad in that equation? I mean, is that love? Is that love? Where they have to behave in a certain manner in order to be acceptable to you. I don't know. I came to realize that's not love. Being disappointed in the way someone else behaves because you want them to do this and that, behave this way and that way, appear a specific way to other people, because if not, you're embarrassed. That's not love. That's an attempt at domination and control that comes from a place of fear. And I don't say this in, with like malicious or derogatory intent. I say this as someone who struggled through it. And it took me so many years to realize what I was doing, my expectations of my husband. That's not right. That's not fair. He is who he is. He's a Gemini. And I didn't appreciate his Gemini-ness. And why? Why is that? Because it was a reflection of the very thing that I wanted, the freedom to be myself, regardless of who's around, but I couldn't be because I had to be a Stepford soul. I had to be the person who always is in control, always have to be poised, always have to have the proper response, always have to sacrifice myself for the convenience of everyone else. And it frustrated me because he was a representation of what I wanted to be, just carefree, obnoxious, just enjoying life, having fun. And I totally had to stick up my ass about everything. Like, you can't behave like that at a wedding. He started making animal sounds at my cousin's wedding, like screaming animal sounds. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? This is her W. Stop making those sounds. And he was like, I'm celebrating her. I was like, no, you're not. But in reality, he was just so happy. He was so happy to see her happy and getting married. And he had to make fucking animal sounds. I'm just saying. But he had fun. That's him. And if someone has a problem with his animal sounds, that's fine too. But he has to be himself. And so I learned. It took many, many years for me to learn. My need to try and cultivate his behavior so that it's more acceptable, more proper, was absolute bullshit. It was a projection of my own insecurities and resentment of the fact that I can't just be myself. That I've delegated myself to be the house mother at a frat, like, our sorority, at a sorority. No, I just want to have fun. I want to live my life. I want to have a fun life. And you can't do that until you choose to. Because as much as he tried to encourage me to just enjoy myself and have fun, I couldn't until I chose to give myself permission to just have fun. Know what I'm saying? And like, how you see me now is really a result of all this learning that I've gone through, where it's like, girl, who you trying to impress? You know your ass is ratchet. A little bit bougie ratchet. I could be prim and proper if I feel like it, which I often don't. And that's okay. That's okay, because I own myself and my journey. I own my decisions. You have to own your decisions. You have to own yourself. You have to own your history as a soul. I said it yesterday. The only time someone can weaponize the details of your life history is when you're ashamed of it and don't want anyone else to know. There's nothing in my history that I'm ashamed of. Literally nothing. Nothing. And, I could sit here and try and share all these different details for what? To prove to you that I'm not ashamed? The fact that I have to try and sit here and prove to you that I'm not ashamed of myself and my life tells me there's probably still an aspect of me that is. If you still have to explain your side, if you still have to try and share things to help convince people that you are authentic, are you authentic? Does a lion have to tell you, a lion's in the house? for you to recognize it's a lion, you kind of just know. You kind of just know. You can tell. So people will already have their opinions of you because of the things that they witness that are unspoken. Your energy snitches you out every single time. So there's no more hiding stuff. It's just you can't hide it from people. Too many people, even in the basic sector. That's such an asshole thing to say. Even in the basic sector, okay? The gen pop of this prison planet. They've woken up enough to recognize. They have. They probably are not consciously like, oh, I'm detecting fakery. I'm detecting inauthentic behavior. I'm detecting manufactured authenticity. They're just like, oh, I don't know, you kind of irritate me. Hey, sometimes that's how it happens. Sometimes that's how it happens. Or they could have the flip reaction where it's like, I don't know, she kind of irritates me because she's just fucking like the shit she says. Because I'm not ready to hear the truth. Boom, bitches. Bring it into form. Just bring it into form. You're either walking towards something or walking away. It depends on how you see it. No matter what, just keep walking. Okay? Walk away from things that no longer grow you. Walk towards things that do. Regardless of how much struggle you think there will be. You know, you have to just keep walking because it's in the struggle, it's in the challenge that you actually begin to grow yourself. When the lesson is too easy, it isn't deep. It's just a fact. It's a refresher. I hate to tell you this. If the lesson is so intense that you don't think you're going to make it through, and now you're like, holy shit, I have to. That's probably going to change your life. It's probably going to grow you in ways that you never thought your life could grow you. It's probably going to showcase your strength, a strength that you probably didn't even think you had. Do you know how I realized how strong my mind actually is? The depth of the love I have for my children. Do you know how I realized that? I realized it in the moment I was giving birth, because all of my births are so ridiculously complex with so many complications. And with the exception of my oldest, who was the hardest birth, all the other children after him, I almost died, like literally, medically, almost died for each birth. And to be able to do that and choose to do that again and again and again, to me, it served as proof of just how much my love for them would bring me through the very things that I thought I couldn't survive. Because after that, after I had near-death experiences with my births, as soon as I got out the hospital, I had to be basically like a solo parent because my husband is, or he was, one of the contractors in Silicon Valley. He's a computer guy. And they don't hire people in Silicon Valley. They contract you out so they don't have to give you benefits. And what that means is if you don't work, you don't get paid. And so he had to go back to work. Much to his sadness and disappointment, he had to go back to work, and I had to be okay with that. I had to be okay with that. So could you imagine going through such intense challenges to your physical body, to your psychology, and then having to pick right up and continue on? The most beautiful things my children have gifted me is the knowing that no matter what happens, no matter how battered I become by life, physically, emotionally, mentally, whatever the fuck it is, I'm going to pick right back up and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. No matter what. No matter what. I'm going to keep going. That's deep. That's deep. And it's only deep because it challenged me to go deeper. If you want to increase your depth, you have to allow life experiences to do that for you. Let go of belief systems that no longer work for you. An important life-changing event, a situation that leads to significant opportunities. All of that is true. You know why I know it's true? Because you're being led to a fucking tower. I don't know if you see that. You're being led to a tower moment. Are you going to allow your fear of the unknown to send you right to that tower? Or will you allow yourself to walk into the clouds, into that fog, enter unknown territory, avoiding that tower moment, and instead allowing yourself to walk through things unknown, only to have the sun rise, dissolve the fog, and be in the middle of a beautiful meadow? I found time and time again that when I allow myself to walk through the fog into places unknown within myself, the light of my truth ends up dissolving all that fog, and I find myself in such a beautiful place. But in order for me to get there, it's such a struggle and a challenge for me to choose such an unknown. Excuse me. We are all flowering. We're developing. We're going through our stages, our phases, our cycles of life. We are growing our flowers. We're not just growing our flowers, we're needing to now allow them to bloom. I don't know if you know what a rose looks like before it blooms. It's a green, like squished ball. It don't look like those long-stemmed roses. Those are partially bloomed. It's usually covered by green. It's not that cute. It's only after it begins to bloom that it becomes beautiful. And here's the thing. Another subtle message that we're taught by society is we only value things that haven't reached their full bloom. Why is that? Oh, the roses. I remember my one of my coworkers, her ex was trying to woo her back. I was working at a jewelry store at the time, and he sent her 24 long stem roses. And I was like, oh my God, girl, who gave you that? And she said it was her ex, her children's father. He wanted to get back with her, blah, 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 whatever. And she put it on part of the display cases that didn't really have anything that people looked at. So it was kind of out of the way, but it happened to be underneath one of those lights. Those lights are intense because they're needed to help bring the brilliancy out of the jewelry. But because of that, the roses bloomed. By the time 4 hours went by, these tight, long stem roses, they fucking bloomed. She goes, oh my God, it's so wasted. And that stuck with me because I was like, they're still just as beautiful. Why would it be wasted? And she goes, well, they were so well, why can't we appreciate what happens once we come into full blossom? You know, because we don't appreciate it. If you look at the way society functions, once you hit a certain age, you're kind of just washed up, you know? You're washed up, you're not young anymore. I don't know about that. I don't know about that because I'm finding the older that I get, the more my value increases, the more valuable my life experiences become because they help me to reach even higher levels of consciousness and wisdom. What I know now over my 40s, I'm over 40, I would have never, ever even dared to consider in my teens. And I've always been a very mature type of individual. Yeah, I would have never thought that I would have the courage to exist authentically. You know, even though I've aged quite a bit, I feel like I'm actually more attractive now than I was as a young and supple teen 20s. I feel like I'm more attractive. Why is that? Because I can actually be myself now. There's something beautiful about that type of confidence. Ooh, wait, I wrote something down about this. Hold on. Approachable confidence. Michael was having a conversation with me about approachable confidence, where you know your worth, but your worth does not try and dominate someone else. This knowing of who and what you are, the gravity of your existence, does not affect others in such a way where it belittles them. Instead, it invites them to join you as you rise. This approachable confidence is so necessary. That's part of your flowering, that's part of your blossoming. So, visions, you're being shown exactly where you need to go within yourself. You see the moon back there behind her. Yeah, that tells me you still are afraid to do it. It's a doubling up. Card number 4 and then card number 8. High Priestess of Water is the self. The water is affected by the moon. 8 is the number of reunification. Your energy, your sense of worth, your purpose, it might be tied to another individual where the two of you have to work together. I'm not talking about romance. Let's remove that, okay? If I'm going to talk about romance between twin flames, twin rays, I will specify that. So anytime I mention twin flames or twin rays in the readings, romance is removed from it, okay? So there is something, there's an energy that causes you to level up. It's something that's hidden, something that maybe you're afraid to face. Maybe it's something that makes you uncomfortable because you can't control the circumstance the way you're accustomed to. And in that lack of control, you're actually freeing yourself to further expand. It's like wearing a waist trainer. You know, sometimes you got to take that off. Sometimes you got to just allow that belly to and, you know, let the organs breathe a little bit. Yeah, detox. Know what I'm saying? You have to detox, cleanse and restore yourself. Allow yourself to continue purging out the very thoughts and emotions that have kept you very confined to a very specific level of being, not way of being, level of being. If you're not going to allow yourself to continue to rise up in your understanding and deepen your knowing, where are you really going? Just to the left and the right, you just you just swaying back and forth. Card number 44, visions of life beyond death. So card number 4, card number 8, card number 44. This is like the epitome of these two put together. Visions of life beyond death. The resurrecting of the parts of you that you've kept hidden. Allowing your High Priestess of Water to surround you as you rebirth yourself. This is the process of rebirth. You have to experience that shamanic death. It helps to lead you to where you're heading, which is that moon. Remember, you're being shown, right? You're being shown. And that leads to the rebirth. That leads to you becoming more of who you actually are. Peacocks aren't ashamed to be beautiful. They don't have approachable confidence, though. I hear they're very aggressive. I hear they are. Well, I know they are. Some of them can be. I don't know. I think it's how you raise it. I don't know. I don't have a peacock yet. Eventually I will. But just allow yourself to be who you are. There are so many people watching. Some of these eyes that watch, they watch because they're waiting for you to fall, for you to falter. Fuck them. Who gives a shit? Let them keep watching. And others are watching because you inspire them. You give them some extra courage to kind of just be who they are, be authentic in their existence. Appreciate those. Appreciate those people. Really allow yourself to feel the gravity of their presence. How, because of your courage, they're encouraged. And because of their encouragement, you're lended even more courage. It's a beautiful amplification cycle. Card number 2, romantic love. Aphrodite. Okay. I hate when Michael does that. It's like, I just said, if romance is involved, then I'll see it. For some, there's romance involved. That's what I'm getting from that card. For some of you, romance will be involved in whatever connection is being used to trigger higher levels of growth. Two of Winter, indecision is holding you back. Make the choice that's best for you rather than trying to please others. Feeling trapped between the intellectual and the emotional. When the mind and the heart is not aligned, it becomes very difficult to vocalize, to verbalize, to speak your truth into being, because it's the center point. If they are not aligned, who speaks first? What should be spoken? Becomes very tricky. Okay. Healing. It's time for you to heal your thoughts on who you are, on the life you've lived. It's time for you to heal this indigestion you've been experiencing. Your power comes from your ability to love unconditionally yourself as well as others. Loving unconditionally does not mean the enablement of destructive behaviors, destructive, abusive behaviors, either aimed at you or aimed at others. And it doesn't matter who's doing the aiming. If it's you doing the aiming, it's no better nor worse than someone else aiming for you. So it's time for you to really heal those two things. So many of us have such a hard time digesting who we are, digesting the knowing of who you are, where you're going, where you've been, what you're here to do, the connections, all of that. Wow, this is the final card. At the very beginning of the reading, I was like, oh, I finally understand. Card number 21. 2 being the number of guidance, 1 being the number of singularity, being guided to a point of singularity. This is about a merger. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 being the number of a solid foundation from which to build your life. This is about a merger that creates a solid foundation. Grove. There is a beautiful, very magical, very love-filled space that is held for you and whoever else. This space is within you. It's within someone else. And this is a place where it's safe to kind of come together for a moment and reassess where your life is supposed to go. I'm wondering if this is an indicator that you're going to be experiencing some sort of telepathic communication. I'm hesitant to describe it as that because I don't want people to be confused when there's a mimic that comes along trying to convince you it's someone you should commune with. For some of us, this message is for some of us. Because look, there's even fucking snakes at the bottom, forked tongue. So this can be 2 different messages. 1, the obvious, there's a sacred space that's held. It's probably etheric in nature. It probably makes telepathic communication, heart-based connectivity with one or several people possible. It's a very pure, sacred, heavily protected space. The secondary message is, for many, that space has not yet been created because you haven't experienced enough in your life yet to create and maintain that type of space. And if that's the case, there's a high likelihood you might have something parasitic create a studio where they can show you so many different visuals and get you to believe that it's your sacred space when it's not, in order to access you. And some might say, oh my God, you're teaching us to be afraid. No, I'm teaching you to be realistic. I'm teaching you to be realistic. We cannot romanticize our spiritual processes because that's what fucks us up. Oh, no. It's really my twin that meets me on the astral. We have astral dates. Are you aware? The astral plane is 4th dimensional. About 90% of the parasites I extract from individuals is fourth dimensional being. The astral is their playground. If you don't want to hear what I have to say, that's perfectly okay. But I'm not going to sit here and be mum on a potentiality just to soothe any fear, righteous fear at that, legitimate fear at that. Hell yeah, you need to be careful. Hell yeah, you need to double check, triple check, quadruple check, do a background check, etheric check, astral check, check with your guides, check with your higher self, check with fucking Jesus himself before you get yourself played on that astral. It's just one of those things, you know. We like to try and dabble in things we have no idea about, and then next thing you know, we're at a place where everything is screwed up. Our energy has gone to caca. And we're now here telling Emmie, I don't understand why this keeps happening. Well, I can't say anything because you don't want to know. I mean, you know, I don't exist to try and convince people of the things that I say. I don't. You know, you either resonate with it or you don't. And if you don't, then you don't, you know, because it doesn't make it any less true, regardless of how many people agree or don't agree with what I say. Okay. For me, my truth is mine. And this is what I know. This is what I know. Mind you, my day job is not a tarot reader. I'm not a tarot reader. I'm just not. I use the cards to focus my clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, because I have some fucking insane ADHD. Oh, look, something shiny. Yes, Hammy. Yeah, no, I'm not a tarot reader. And what ends up happening is people think I'm a tarot reader and they fail to realize my real job is parasitic extraction and subatomic attunement. I'm a subatomic engineer / exorcist. That's my specialty, exorcism. So I do have a little more weight to the words I say when it comes to parasitic activity, parasitic MO, modus operandi. This is how they function. Exactly, harvesting the scream. No, I'm saying. She know what I'm saying. I thought we were done. Okay. Wait. Do I have time? I have time. Michael says to pull out 7 cards from this deck. How do I know it's not parasitic? I feel like there's some kind of snakes all around me. I throw hands in the astral plane. Hey, these hands are magic, bitches. Bitches. Not you guys. I'm talking to parasites. These hands is magic. Oh my gosh. Thank you. I love you too, baby Sophia. Oh, wait. No, your grandson. Damn, I just infantilized you. Oh my God, I saw my nephews and my niece. And 2, 4, 5. How many? 7? 8. He said 8. And one of my nephews is, I think he's 3. Is he 3? 2? I think he's 2. And I haven't seen him since last Thanksgiving. He was on my brother's bed. And he just turned and looked at me like, stranger? And I was like, hi. And he goes, hi. I want to go fucking cuddle his ass. I swear to God. Okay. I love babies. I just do. I'm going to fucking inhale him. Just sniffy kisses. Those are Lola kisses. All right. Ace of Cups in reverse, change, erosion, instability, sterility, unrequited love, clouded joy, false heart, inconsistency. So, wow, this is kind of telling me that whatever structures you created within your mind to build a fictitious life upon, that's going to be eroded. That's, I mean, it's not going to be able to continue to be sustained. If this is what you're experiencing, it's very normal, natural part of your first massive ascension cycle. Most people will experience maybe about a handful of mini ascension cycles before they hit the big one. These mini ones will feel intense. It'll become more and more intense until finally you get to that first major cycle where the light switch gets turned on. In that first cycle, oh, good Lord. That one tends to be extremely intense. You have a tendency to have everyone that you were once close to, even if there's no drama, no issue, no nothing. It's like suddenly you no longer exist. They stop calling, they stop checking in, they stop inviting you to places. It's a real isolation type feeling, like rejected type feeling. And that's because you're being cocooned. All the structures that you've built for yourself, whether it's like your enjoyment with a job that's not in alignment, relationships you've built through trauma bonds, just, well, I don't know, I'm like, the stuff. Those tend to be totally demolished. And it really will feel like your whole life is just falling apart in front of you. It's a very difficult, very, very difficult process. I don't care how strong you think you are. Once you hit that first major cycle, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, uh, mm, that's all I can say. That's all I can say. You won't understand until you experience it. You just won't. You just won't. And if you can still be like, oh, I already experienced it, I think it might be your next cycle, because if you can, yeah, that's damn. That's all I can say. I'm just saying. Oh, wait. Instability, unrequited love, clouded joy, false heart, inconsistency. Ooh. Okay. Well, I think spiritual port has experienced like surgery while being awake with no anesthetics, no numbers, no nothing. Feel the burn. Yeah, no, it's fucking intense. It's super, super, super intense. Five of Pentacles. Destitution, loss, failure, error, mistress, lover. Okay, so there's this, okay. Part of the message that I'm getting from these two cards is that, you're going to experience a very, very difficult period for some. This difficult period is usually an indicator you are now in the active process of leveling up, okay? Another message that comes forward with this is like a broke down twin connection, unrequited love. Where is the other one? Mistress, lover, like third party circumstance. That's also a very difficult thing for most people to deal with. Now this next card, the Lovers in reverse. Failure to meet the test, separation, frustration in love and marriage, interference, fickleness, unwise plans. I'm wondering, for the first message talking about your own process, it's this thing of You're not meeting your expectations. Are your expectations aligned with the truth of your process? Because if it's not, 100% of the time, you will feel like a failure. You will feel frustrated. You will feel as though you can't do anything right in your life. My expectation was to become a cardiothoracic surgeon with a secondary emphasis on neurology. Based on that expectation, I am a failure. I didn't achieve what I needed to achieve. I didn't even reach the basic levels of achievement, which is matriculating and entering the medical program. I didn't even achieve that. But is that in alignment with my path, with the reality of what I'm supposed to do? I'm doing now what I'm supposed to do. That's because what I'm supposed to do. Oh, Michael said something. I'm answering Michael. So he says, tell them why it works now. Tell them why you don't feel disappointed. Well, that's because what I'm supposed to do required a specific amount of information, education regarding biology, anatomy, and physiology, endocrinology, neurology, nephrology, all of the ologies. It required a certain amount of information to be learned in order for a certain aspect of my skill set, my spiritual skill set, to be fully functional. I can't do bioscans and help people understand some of the medical anomalies they experience and have no answers from their doctors if I don't understand some medicalities, some medical shit. So I needed to know that. It wasn't a failure. I failed to understand that one stop in my journey wasn't the destination. It was just one stop on that path. That wasn't supposed to take me somewhere else. I was supposed to just get off the bus, chill for a little bit, get back on the bus, and keep going. So that's what you have to do. You have to just keep going. The moon in reverse, a minor deception recognized before damage is done. Trifling mistakes, overcoming temptation. So the minor deception might be that you've been you might be deceiving yourself about what your circumstance actually is. That minor deception. And you need to recognize this before it creates far too much damage for you to be able to very easily recover from. There's a certain amount of damage you can sustain, certain amount of injuries you can sustain and bounce back real quickly. Once you reach a certain point, that's going to take some recovery. That's going to take some time and focused care to recover from. Having a relationship with a narcissist for a few weeks, a month, 2 months, is not the same as having a relationship with a narcissist for 15 years. Both will experience some really intense, very covert abuse, gaslighting, manipulations of their own psychology, damage to their sense of self, sense of worth, self-worth. But being exposed to the behaviors and abuses of a narcissist for 15 years, some people never recover from that. Some people just don't. A lot of people recover, some people just don't. It all depends on how much you allow that distortion to soak into your core template. So now, I get like a secondary message, like on the whole twin flame front, the trifling mistakes. One of you made a mistake. It was probably a decision that was made with the intention of being hurtful, like a withholding, attempt to withhold yourself. And that totally fucked everything up. Whatever was developing, it was halted in its tracks because of that petty ass behavior. It was petty. And, the Capricorn in me is like, you satisfied? The Capricorn wants to be like, that's what you get. You satisfied? You happy now? But the Pisces in me is like, people make mistakes. Just really try and like recover the parts of you that were lost. Try and reestablish communication so you guys can talk about it and you can heal from it. But the Capricorn in me is like, are you fucking happy now? That's what you get. No, try and grow from it. Find a happy medium between are you fucking happy now? That's what you get. And try and grow from it. Like, hey, you have to recognize and learn every causation chosen will have a very direct effect. If you don't want that negative, painful, lifelong effect, you need to choose a different causation. This is about learning and allowing every opportunity in your life to be the lessons that you need in order to grow in your consciousness. So, Desire, determination, willpower, a goal nearly attained, intelligent choice. So, hey, this is telling me that many of you are actually doing the learning. Many of you are taking the time to really just analyze your life. Maybe you still don't understand much of it, but the fact that you're actually trying, not trying because someone else told you to, but because now you're ready to really see yourself, to really see your life and understand what you've been through and how it's affected you and how you can grow from it, how it empowered you. That's powerful. That is the first massive leap towards your growth and acceptance of totality. Life and pretty much all the teachings we come across, I'd say about 90% of what we learn from people who talk about things in terms of psychology, social aspects, cultural aspects, religious aspects, we are taught and encouraged, basically forced into, not honoring our path and our purpose. We're taught to simply comply, to continue to exist in a duality. I'm just a girl. That's all I can be. I'm a girl with big ass fucking crystal balls. Excuse you. I have my masculine aspect that if you try and threaten the goddess that is me, he's going to come out and kick your fucking ass. So I'm a total person. I'm a totality. We have to begin the process, which I think that's what this card is saying. You guys are beginning the process of releasing that duality type of existence and entering into a totality, where you're a whole being. You're allowed to feel all the emotions, the positive, the negative, the pleasurable, the painful. No just high vibes, okay? I don't give a shit. No high vibes. With me and the space that I hold, we share frequency. We focus on that. Frequency modulates itself. Frequency is not a line. People like high vibes only, which is a line. You're only allowed to exist on a line. That's flatlining. You're dead. Let that sink in. They want you to only experience one emotion. No fluctuations ever. You're not allowed. Only one emotion. You're dead. Ask any medical professional. You don't even have to be a medical professional. So many movies show you this. Flatline, you're dead. The beautiful thing about a heart is its ability to have do. All of that high and low, just the regular fluctuations. A healthy heart has consistent high and low, high and low. Allow your feelings. You feel high, you probably will experience a low at some point. You feel low, you'll probably experience an uplifting at some point. The key is in recognizing every event in your life is temporary. It has an expiration period. So be fully present. Shit, if it hurts, fucking let it hurt and be like, what the fuck is this shit? And then it's done. And then you move on to the next step. Like, oh my God, you guys know what I went through? It was fucking crazy, but hey, I'm still here. That's about being a totality, really owning your life and being powerful in that life. Queen of Wands, I gotta go through this faster. I have babies to cuddle. A sympathetic and understanding person, friendly, loving, chaste, practical, charming, gracious hostess. Don't be a gracious hostess to parasites. That's the first thing that I get. Sympathetic and understanding person. You have to be sympathetic and understanding of yourself. You have to allow that sympathy to mature into an empathy. If you were to hear your life story coming out of someone else's mouth, you probably would cry. But when I hear my life story coming out of my own mouth, like, bitch, it's over already. Fucking get over it. It's already over. You don't even got to be pissed about it or whatever. But if I hear it coming out of someone, oh my God, I know what you mean. Are you okay? Are you okay? What happened afterwards? Oh my God. What kind of shit is that? What is that really, though? It's a refusal to show compassion and grace towards the self. The very thing that needs it the most, the self. Your higher self is fine. But the portion of your consciousness that's very much anchored in this life and this identity needs that compassion the most. It just does. The human self struggles so greatly with the things that are very easy for your soul. Have some compassion for it. Show it some grace. You don't have to tear yourself down every single time. So, peace and harmony, needing to take the blindfold off, keep reassessing the situation at hand. I mean, that's pretty cut and dry. You're blinding yourself. Ooh, fucking A. I never noticed this. See these two islands? You are not an island unto yourself. I think this has to do with a secondary message of separation. Yeah, God. Separation between two individuals, two consciousness. There's such a huge divide that was created, and you cannot continue to exist as individual islands because really, beneath the water surface, there is a land bridge that connects you. So you've always been connected. It's just the illusion of separateness. Elevation of money, overseas trip, completion of phases. Fuck yeah, this is the best card ever. This is the best card ever. You're going to complete this. You're going to be fine. It's going to work. It's going to work. It's going to work in your favor. Okay? Tap, tap, tap in. I don't know that song. Five of Swords. Five of Swords in reverse. Uncertain outlook. Okay. Uncertain outlook, weakness, possible misfortune befalling a friend. Okay, so I fucking stand corrected. I got all excited. That completion of phases, it only happens when you fully allow it to. So many of us, right as we're completing it, we're reaching the home stretch. We're so tired of the process that we sabotage the ending. It doesn't matter how well you run the marathon if you choose not to finish it right before the finish line. Sorry, ladies. You're not getting the Tiffany's necklace at the Nike Marathon if you don't cross the fucking finish line. I'm sorry. Nobody cares in that organization about how well you run the entire thing except the last quarter mile. If you don't cross it, you don't cross it. And they won't care. They won't give you whatever. Well, I don't know. They might. I mean, shit, you pay a lot of money to enter it. So they might. I don't know how it works. I don't know how it works. But that's my logic. It doesn't matter how well you ran all of that stuff. You know, another logic I want to share with you guys before I finally get off. I was an extremely present mother up until about 3 or 4 years ago. maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I was extremely present. I did everything for my children, everything. And then I began this work and I began to not be fully present. That's not a sad thing. It's not a sad thing because in my absence, even though I'm still in the same dwelling, it gave my children the opportunity to very much deepen their bond with their father. But here's the thing, and this was the thing that really killed me, was that I was trying to convince myself I provided them with such a beautiful, beautiful earlier life. And, that's just going to carry over. I could just not be present and they'll remember that. But they don't. That would be unfair for me to expect them to be okay with my absence for the last half, all the way to present. So I realized I need to find this beautiful balance between work and family. I can't just be like, well, I worked all day. Now it's time for me to sleep, because that's what I had and I didn't like it. I didn't like it. And then I found myself trying to excuse it with, well, now I can buy them a whole bunch of different toys. No, that's what I had and I didn't like it. And my children are just as observant and just as intelligent as I am. And so there's nothing to keep me from believing the most likely probable truth that they too will resent my absence. And so just because I put all that effort in the beginning, it doesn't mean I can't finish off the race with them. I still have to be present. I still have to be an active part of their life, their learning, their experiences. Now they know that I can't be as present as I was before, where everything, my entire day revolves around all my children. Literally from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep, I am domestic goddess as fuck. Cooking, cleaning, homeschooling, everything. That's not the point. The point is to find a beautiful balance where you can still be present. You can still experience all these different things, but you can also have something outside of that. It's not selfish. It's necessary. So it doesn't matter how you start the race. It doesn't matter how you run through the race. What matters is that you actually finish the race. Because if you don't, you're giving up on yourself. You're giving up on all these things that you're trying to accomplish, all the people who are counting on you to finish, to be present as you finish. That's just something to really think about. Okay? It's really something to think about. And it took me about 1.5 years of just working nonstop, working 16, 17-hour days, 7 days a week. And then I realized when my youngest was like, oh, mommy, mommy's busy. And I was like, no, what do you want me to do? He goes, no, you have to work. He couldn't bother me to heat up his food. It was already cooked. I just had to heat it up. And he felt that he was burdening me and interfering with what was important to me by vocalizing his very basic needs. That's not okay. It's okay to have a career. And I'm speaking for myself personally. But it's not okay for my children to feel as though they are second place to that career. For me personally, that's not okay. I can have both and I will have both because that is what I will set for myself. I can still be a very present mother, a very present soul, and still excel in this place we call Earth. I can do it. It takes a lot of time, effort, balancing, energy, but it's possible. And it's possible because I say it is. Remember, the only limits that exist for you are the ones that you believe in. And I don't believe I cannot do that. I believe quite the opposite. I believe I absolutely can do that. And I can teach my children by simply witnessing me how to balance life. And it's not a fake type of balancing where it looks so super polished. It's a real, raw, very gritty type of balance. But it's balance. So balance your life, learn the things that you need to learn, allow yourself to go through whatever processes you need to go through in order to reach whatever, whatever level of understanding you need. And it all works out. It doesn't work out the way you think it should. It works out the way your soul knows you need. So reconcile that difference and everything kind of falls into its own place. You guys, please give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe. Turn on that notification bell. Join me when I'm live. I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye.